Hello there, I'm Nathalia Melo, your unfiltered fit BFF, mom of two turned CEO of a fitness empire. Someone who understands the struggles of trying to stay fit, sane, and sexy, all while juggling work, life, and motherhood. And this is the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast. Follow along wherever you're listening and join me weekly as I help busy working moms just like you simplify their fitness journey so they can lose weight, regain their confidence, and feel sexy AF. It's time to stop living in the what ifs and hiding from the cameras. It's time to regain control over your body, feel sexy naked, and wear a bikini confidently. People already see you as a super confident woman, but it's time for you to feel the same way too. Let's go. Hello there, fam. Welcome to another episode of the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast. I'm Nathalia Melo, your host. And today we are going to be talking about something a bit different. We're going to be talking about how low confidence can literally destroy your life and make you settle for suboptimal partners, jobs, life, career, everything. And before I move forward on talking about our topic today, I want to make it very clear that I'm not claiming to be a relationship expert, a career expert, a psychologist, a behavior expert. I absolutely am not. I am, however, somebody who has been a coach for over 15 years. And we can sit here and talk about, the best nutrition strategies, very important. The best training strategies, very important. And I do have to be incredibly knowledgeable about these two things. But the one thing that is going to dictate a successful fitness journey for someone is if the coach that the person has chosen understands people. Trying to, fix everything without all the objective things like the training, the nutrition, like here's what you do, here's the meal plan, but not understanding how people behave is a big mistake. And it's why so many people fail in their fitness journey. So all of this to say that I'm not a behavioral expert, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a relationship, but I have, as a coach, being able to learn a lot about the way people behave and the way people act. So why am I talking about the confidence piece today? What triggered me to record this podcast is because recently I made a post on my social media. And if you don't follow me on the grams, the link is down below. You can follow me there and you're probably going to see the post that I'm referring to. So the post was telling a story about when I was doing a lot of magazine work. This was before I met my husband and I was dating somebody. I was seeing somebody. And at the time, like I mentioned, I was being published in a lot of fitness magazines. And, we're going back probably 14-ish years ago. I've been with my husband for about 12 years. So this was about 14 years ago. At the time, social media wasn't very big. So being in a magazine was kind of a big deal. So I was dating this person. He had a good career, had his shit together, had a good life. I'm like, okay, let's see what's up here. And one day I got in this guy's car and I look on the back seat and there is a whole bunch of magazines. And they were all my magazines, the magazines that I had been featured in. And I'm like, yo, the fuck? Excuse me, what is going on here? And his response was that he wanted to show his friends my picture. And listen, and I think that that's where things got wrong. Because as you start to read some of the comments from my social media, you have, what's wrong with showing you off? Most women love when their man shows them off. And this right here is the problem. Here is the problem. That guy wasn't proud of me. That guy was proud of himself for being able to be with somebody, anybody. He didn't give a shit who that was, but with somebody who was in a magazine. So it wasn't about me. It wasn't about him thinking, oh my goodness, Natalia's working her ass off and she's doing all those things. It was about himself. And this got me thinking why there are so many fickle relationships nowadays. And I was baffled. There were a lot of men commenting who probably cannot see a problem with it. But the fact that some women did not understand how problematic this is concerning. And the reason it is concerning is because normalizing having the foundation of your relationship, something that is not permanent, is incredibly problematic. You are setting yourself up for failure. The first thing that came to my mind whenever I saw those magazines and I saw this guy being proud of himself, not of me, being proud of himself because I was in a magazine, is that what happens if I decide that I don't want to be in a magazine anymore? What happens if I get ill and I no longer look like the girl in the magazine anymore? What happens if we have kids and I put on a lot of weight during pregnancy, which happens? And because of it, he's like, nope. The foundation of the relationship is how you look, and you look like the girl in the magazine. But right now you don't look like the girl in the magazine. So I'm going to find the next girl who is going to be the girl in the magazine. Do you see how problematic that is? And I'm not talking, oh, Nathalia, but you're talking because you're in a magazine. How is that relatable? It doesn't have about you being in a magazine. You don't have to be in the magazine, because I have plenty of examples for you of people that I have met along my journey. I'm going to give you an example right now of a woman. Met this guy. She was beautiful, had like big boobs and beautiful body. And then they had kids. And then over a decade goes by and she starts having problems with her boobs. And then she had to have her boobs removed. And the first thing that the husband told her is that, no, I didn't marry the girl who didn't have boobs. I met a girl with big boobs. So she went on and got another surgery despite having problems with her first implant, and then had a problem again with her second implant, which was significantly impacting her health. And the partner kept on telling her that he didn't marry somebody who didn't have big boobs. And if you think that this is not something that happens often, you are absolutely delusional. Another very good example, and this I'm going to use a man as an example because I think that it is important as well to use that. When I worked in the hospitality, there was a guy who would come to the bar, I don't know, twice a week, 3 times a week, solid dude, super cool. And he was very wealthy. And he had a Black American Express. And I was normally the bartender that served him, so I could watch the dynamic of things. And every single time that a girl came next to him, he would buy a drink and make sure that he pulled his Black American Express so the girl could see, and, bought the most expensive thing and did like all this splashing. And time again, this guy would get involved with women who were with him just for his money. And then he would tell me, he's like, I don't understand. And I'm like, you are leading a relationship with something that is not permanent. You are building the foundation of relationships with something that can be taken away or can disappear tomorrow. How do you expect to have long-term, valuable relationship that has connection when the foundation of that relationship is based on something that can fade? And I started to realize that that person was doing that because he had incredibly low self-esteem. And that is the same with women who lead with just how they look. And in their content, they are fulfilled when they end up with somebody who admires their looks, because they're so starved for attention and they're so starved for having somebody tell them that they look a certain way, that they'll get blinded by the true intentions and the foundation of what that relationship is. And like, I honestly was absolutely baffled by women not seeing a problem in this. And this is valid for any kind of relationship, a friendship, a romantic relationship, a professional relationship. You do not want that relationship to start with a foundation of something that is not permanent. What does this look like in the work environment? Somebody that becomes your friend just because you are their boss and nothing else. What happens if you lose your job? You stop being friends? A friend who just becomes your friend because of the access that you can give that person to, certain places, certain events. What happens when you no longer have access to those things? Does the relationship fades away as well? In a romantic relationship, if you start that relationship with the foundation of something that is not permanent, so that person comes into the relationship just because of the way you look, but because your confidence is so low, like any attention that anybody gives or any compliment that people pays you, it's going to feel like, oh my God, I have to settle here. And then you get blinded by the true intentions of people. And the next thing you know, you start a relationship that has been built on quicksand. And then the moment you no longer have that superficiality to offer, the relationship ends. But it was there all along the way. And I'm not saying this that, every partner that you have that is proud of your accomplishments, that it is a red flag. That's not what I'm saying. But there is a difference between the person being proud of your accomplishments and the person being proud of him or herself for what you represent as a status for that person, and how proud that person is of him or herself for being with someone like you. But because a lot of times your confidence might be so low, you don't even realize how amazing you are and how much you have to bring to the table. And then you settle. You settle and you set yourself up for failure because you're so blinded by your lack of confidence that you cannot see that you are somebody or you have something to bring to the table that would make other people feel like it's worth bragging about being someone with you. Not bragging about you, but bragging about themselves for being with somebody like you. And there is a difference. So make sure that you're not letting a lack of confidence blind you into getting in relationships that are built around very fickle and delicate and non-permanent foundation. The external is going to fade. Money can be taken away. If the external fades and the money is taken away, what do you have left in that relationship? And this is a question that you have to ask. And this, again, this is a question that I asked myself when I met my husband. I asked myself, I'm like, would this guy be by my side if I decided that I no longer wanted to be on a magazine? And my answer was yes. He showed me by the way that he carried himself, by his behavior, that he was what was inside of me. Was he proud of my accomplishments? 100%. 100%. And I loved that he was proud of my accomplishments. He was not proud of himself for the accomplishments that I had. Will this guy leave me if I get pregnant and I gain 30 pounds and I'm no longer the girl in the magazine, and then he's going to find the girl in the magazine? The answer, nope. It didn't feel like he would. And I was only able to make that decision and to make that clear distinction because I was in a place where I had enough confidence to know what I brought to the table. But if your confidence is so low, you are not going to be able to see how much of a badass you are and how much you can bring to the table. So today's going to be a bit of a shorter episode, but I really wanted to talk about this and really help you think think about the relationships that you have in your life and how is your confidence or lack thereof impacting those relationships that you have on your life, about boundaries that you might be able to set or not set because you don't feel confident in your skin. And one thing that I see a lot of times as a coach is that many times confidence is not just about the way a person looks, but it's about honoring and following through with promises that people have made to themselves. And that builds their confidence. And that's one of the very important things that fitness can bring to someone's lives is the confidence that you can follow through and that you can set goals and accomplish them. And that's how I found that this topic would be very relevant for me to bring to the podcast today, because it is all interconnected. And some vain people might be, oh, but isn't this about how you look? No, it's not about how you look. If you look good, great. But it's about you knowing that you have the discipline and the strength and the grit and the commitment to follow through and stay consistent with a specific goal that you have set for yourself and to follow through with it. And that's where the confidence comes from. And that confidence that you gain is going to allow you to know what you can bring to the table in other aspects of life, in other relationships of your life. So keep that in mind. And this is why I find that fitness is in taking care of your body and having a structure. This is why I find that it is so important. It isn't just about how it's going to make you look, but it's also how it's going to make you feel, your ability to follow through with things. I hope this episode has been helpful. If it has been helpful, please make sure that you share it on your social. Tag me. A bit of a shorter episode today, but I really want to have this conversation. And I understand that is a little bit outside of what we normally talk about, but I do think that it is something important discussing and shining light on, and to leave you analyzing and asking yourself if you are settling for relationships that are being built on a very fickle and non-permanent foundation. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next week. Adios. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. But let me ask you, what was your aha moment in today's episode? I would love to know. You can leave me a comment or voice message at the link in the show description. You can also follow me on Instagram and let me know what topics you want to hear more about or who I should have on the show. As for today, this is it for today, guys. I'll see you back next week for another episode of the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast.